without actually either carrying or defeating the motion, but I'm very empathetic toward your situation because you've done a huge job of filibustering. It's not all that easy because I'm sure that it's not part of your values. You're not really like that. I'm convinced of that. In fact, you had a marvelous caucus where you presented the situation of the monument, and a large number of Liberal members were not in favor of the government's position. A large number were uncomfortable with the government situation, or the choice that the government made, rather. And that's the first thing. Secondly, you talk about veterans. We have some veterans here. Take time to go and talk to them about that after the meeting, if they're in favor or not of the way the government proceeded to choose who would build this monument. Take time to go see them later. You're blaming them for everything. And yes, Mr. Casey, I said it's not, there's no question of, or it's not a question of veterans. It's not a veterans issue. You repeated that 4 or 5 times. Thank you for that. But the only problem is that you didn't put that in context. You're still using veterans somewhere along the line. It doesn't involve the veterans. If you wanted to involve them, well, then, my gosh, you should have put that in your selection criteria. That was not done, except for the survey, which is low-level survey denigration. So stop using them. So look at your colleagues around you and how little pride a lot of them have regarding the way the government makes decisions. It's really aberrant. And you talked about a smear campaign. I would say all we want, and even the Conservatives, I barely agree with them, but all we want to do is get transparency. So you took 2 hours once again. You spent 2 hours avoiding really looking at reality. Let's just move forward and carry this motion. Mr. Casey, it is not a decision that the jury had to take unanimously. I agree with that, and I return to that position, as you're well aware, but you can reuse it as many times as you want. But the jury had to decide as a majority. The jury chose, and the Dow team was chosen as a majority. That's all. Thank you. Thank you, Mr. Desilets.
Thank you, Chair. I'm just finding this very frustrating. As one of the veterans in this room that spent over a year of my life in Afghanistan, left 6 of my soldiers there, that this monument is going to commemorate. 158 Canadian Armed Forces members did not come home. I can't speak for all Afghanistan veterans. I do know what they want. They want a monument. They want transparency. They want a decision and this to get passed so that we can move on, because right now they don't have a place to go commemorate at the national level. The Liberals have talked about consultation. Ms. Blaney brought up the fact, the challenges with the consultation and the data and my VAC. I just spent 20 minutes trying to log in to my VAC account. I can't get in, right? And I'm a fairly educated person with a background under the IT, and I can't even log in to my VAC account right now without making a phone call and talking to somebody on the other end, which who knows how long that wait's going to be. I'll tell you what what veterans don't want. They don't want political interference in anything. They will serve, when they were in uniform, they serve whatever government's in power. I served proudly the Liberal government that was in power when I first joined the forces in 1993. I served the Conservative government when they were in power for over a decade, and I served under this current Liberal government. No issues there. Veterans will serve whatever government's in power. That's their job. But they don't want obstruction. They don't want political interference. They want transparency. And one thing that they absolutely detest is wasting time. I suggest you read the body language of the veterans that are in the room that are finding this very frustrating, in particular, because this is an amendment that's been moved that we're debating now that the Conservatives already indicated they're going to vote for. So why are we talking about it? It's going to pass. So let's just get to the vote. Thanks, Chair.
Thank you very much. And now I have Ms. Hefner. It's your time.
Sorry. Mr. Ruff, thank you for your service and thank you for your words today. And I think it is important that we talk about how this decision was made by veterans. More than 10,000 people responded to that survey. And I'm reading from a story from CTV last year when that decision was made. They overwhelmingly preferred a design put forward by Team Simpson. And I think it's, if you look at the designs, you can see it's a circular space inspired by an indigenous medicine wheel sectioned into 4 parts with an inner sanctuary featuring 4 bronze flak jackets hanging from crosses. Artist Adrian Stimson is a member of the Siksika First Nation in Alberta. He's perhaps uniquely qualified to create this monument. He's a former member of the armed forces. He joined the Canadian Forces Artist Program as a civilian in 2010 and spent time in Afghanistan, observing how the troops lived and interacted with their surroundings. He said, while I was there, I became interested in the physical materiality of the bases, the industrial nature of the embedding troops into the theater of war. Mimicking this, the monument is a place to be discovered and to be revealed. The monument enlivens as you approach on a meandering pathway, revealing itself slowly with purpose. 3 quadrants of the monument include the names of 158 Canadian military members who were killed in the conflict. And the 4th is meant to honor Canada's relationship with the Afghan people. And so I think it's important that we recognize that it wasn't political interference, it was the government listening to veterans themselves. And I think we should keep that in mind. The veterans do want us to move on to other issues. They want us to build this monument and move on to talking about many of the other issues that Mr. Ruff brought up that are important as well that we get to. Thank you, Chair.
Thank you very much. And now I turn the mic to Miss Blaney. So, Miss Blaney, the floor is yours. Please.
I apologize, Chair. I was just
No
having
problem.
a chit chat with one of my colleagues. So I'm just really struggling with this because there is a lot we need to get done in this committee. So I think that here we are having this repeat. And so I guess my curiosity here is, you know, one of the things that I've talked a lot about is having VAC have a more veteran-centric communication strategy. And I would also say a greater level of trauma-informed training. Because what we hear again and again from veterans, of course, sadly, is that they're often re-traumatized. It's called sanctuary trauma. And so here we are. I mean, I'm just getting frustrated. I would like to see Wednesday to happen. We've already turned all of those people away. You know, they came, and one of them is a veteran who has shared with me her frustration about having that happen. So I think we just need to do Wednesday, and I just want to be clear about that because I just feel that I don't want to be talking to the same veteran again about why she was turned away and from having her voice heard. So I guess I want to get answers too. But what I can't handle here is that there continues to be this discussion, oddly enough, that veterans were consulted. And I don't believe that's the case. I believe I asked questions when the ministers were here, and I don't believe it. So I hear that the Liberals believe it, and I just want to get this done. Like, I've talked to Afghan veterans who just want a place to be remembered. And there was a fear that their service would not be recognized. And we've not only lost them in Afghanistan, we lost them in our own country where they took their own life. So I don't care really which monument is put up. Personally, I don't care. It's not my job to make that decision. That is really up to veterans, and I agree with that. But we need a better process. So I hope we can get this done. I hope we can get it done quickly. And I hope we can focus on serving veterans the way that we have been put in this position to serve them, is to be here and to do our work. You know, I'm just skimming through again the study on the women veterans. This is amazing what's in here. And there's so much more that we need to do. Like, I really want to get on the study around the Persian Gulf veterans. I know that the Persian Gulf veterans are going through some significant challenges right now, and we need to acknowledge them and give them the support through this committee with the work that we do. I don't want to turn away veterans who are trying to come. So I hope that we can just vote on this. Can I call the vote so that we can at least get this part done? And then if they're going to continue to filibuster, I think collectively we need to start thinking about how we can get information that may not be able to come through the committee.
Thank you, Ms. Blaney, but I have Mr. May who'd like to intervene, but thank you for raising this issue for this Wednesday, because we are in a position, like you said, that we already invite those witnesses. So at the end of this meeting, I'd like to know clearly what the committee wants to do. If not, I'm going to instruct the clerk to cancel those witnesses, because I don't want them to come back again and not be able to talk. So I'll come back to you, and now I'd like to hear from, on the Zoom, Mr. May. Point of order? Yeah, please, Mr. Richards.
Yeah, thanks, Chair. I mean, I think your question is an important one, but I think the more important question before we get to that question is, the Liberals plan to filibuster through the rest of this meeting, or will they let this come to a vote today? Because I think it's important that we have that happen. I think everybody else on this committee has expressed they want to see that happen, Chair. So can the Liberals just give us an indication? Are they going to allow a vote, or are they not?
I heard you. So, Mr. Brian May, you have the floor.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. As this is the first time I'm speaking today, I just want to confirm that the folks in the booth can hear me okay, and that I'm coming through effectively. I apologize for my absence today. A bit under the weather, but I did want to jump in. I agree with Rachel. MP Blaney, excuse me, that we need to get to the women's study. We need to get to the issues that are pressing, that are in front of this committee and have now been for quite some time. I will remind this committee that I warned this committee many months ago that this discussion, this motion that was originally brought forward by Luc, MP Desilets, was going to result in mission creep. That's exactly what's happened. We're seeing a attempt by the opposition, specifically the Conservatives now, to make this into something that it is not. And I also wanted to thank MP Ruff for his service, and agree with him that, quite frankly, this is exactly what frustrates veterans. The veterans that I've spoken to at length don't want us to be sniping back and forth on attempts to embarrass the government. They want us to deal with the issues of the day. They want us to deal in very speedy fashion the motions that are in front of us. And I think it's important to remind the committee and remind those that are watching what in fact has been agreed upon by this committee to study and get to. Not just the women's study, which so far I've gotten through a first pass of it. It is excellent. Thank you to the analysts for the work that you've done on this. I look forward to getting back to that and getting that tabled in the House of Commons as quickly as possible. But not just that study. We have a motion that was tabled by my colleague MP Sarai, basically the effects of exposure to burn